Marth, we're back in the game.
Hello, how are you?
All right, I think. How are you?
Yeah, good. What have you been up to?
Been
I've
to Alton
hardly
Towers.
seen you. Oh yeah, how was that?
I'm old.
Why did it hurt?
The whole drive home, I was thinking, oh, my back and my neck are really going to hurt tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's not good.
Which one do you think did it? Like, did you feel it
Smiler.
happening? It was it.
Yeah, Hannah loved it, and I was like, oh, I feel like I've been in a washing machine.
Oh, you don't like the
And
Smiler?
I used to love rides, so I'm a bit gutted.
Oh no.
Yeah, they need to bring back the water rides for me.
What were you in Alton Towers for, Joel?
I was at my coach's quarterly event, so he did like Elite Mastermind on the Thursday. Then we had like a massive 200 people event in the conference centre on the Friday, and then we all went to Alton Towers on the Saturday.
What is the conference centre like there?
Aged. Looks like when they built it, it was really cool, and now it isn't.
Oh, okay. Because I went to National Trust yesterday. That's how different our weekends were. And I was reading about how at one point in time, one like country house was being lost every single week.
Yeah.
And Alton Towers was one of them because they like lost their fortune and then they couldn't afford the house and all that stuff. So it was actually like a huge manor house, and like it's still kind of derelict, but you can go in and have a look.
The towers.
Yeah.
You've been to Alton Towers with me and been into the towers.
Have I?
Yeah, Hex, the ride, is in the towers.
Yeah, but not really though, right? It's not like...
But that massive build, that's the towers.
Oh.
Oh dear.
But is there not another bit you can look at?
Well,
like,
there's the gardens, which are unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Well, the whole thing is just huge.
Yeah, the whole place is pretty spectacular.
They were saying, which I don't actually think this is bullshit, but they said that the one I went to, I think it was called Dunstan Castle or Dunstan, and they were like, every single day to open our gates, it costs us $5,000.
Ugh.
I was like...
Probably does with staff and lighting and heating.
A lot of them are volunteers.
Insurance.
And there was no heating. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah, but when you insurance, groundskeeping.
Oh god, the grounds are huge.
Yeah, $5,000, like, it doesn't go far.
And I was looking around, and there was about 7 people in the whole thing.
Oh really?
All of which were... Well, they said they make a lot of it from the memberships, right? People pay like
exactly.
£8 a month, however many hundreds of thousands.
It's a subscription business model.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah, I paid £40 to get in.
Yeah, Stonehenge was the same. If you were a National Trust member, it's free with your membership, and if you're not, it was like remortgage your house money.
Yeah.
Which we should probably tell people what this podcast is about, because it's not about days out and weekends. Chatting about expecting it to be tough. So something that I think people mistakenly believe or kind of lead themselves into a false sense of security is when they're going to do something new, whether it's business growth, launch an ad campaign, launch a new product, run an event, they kind of like, oh, well, I can make sure that this isn't stressful. I can plan my way to this running smoothly. And to an extent, yes, you can. And obviously you can lean on other expertise and pay people to take some of the pressure off. But to do anything new, anything that's taking you to a new level, anything that's going to create some growth outside of your comfort zone, it's actually going to be tough. And it's better to just expect it to be tough.
Yeah.
And I kind of like... I've almost hit a brick wall with people who are like expecting it to be easy. Like, when have you ever had anything come good in life that was easy? Ever?
Yeah, and I think it's easy to forget those like early grinding days when it's like been smooth. If you've had smooth sailing for a while and you like forget about, oh shit, when I had to learn how to do Facebook ads because
well, I bet like with your
changed.
Hyrox, for example, you've got friends that are like, oh, I wish I could do that. And you're like, yeah, I've been training for 2 years to be this good.
Yeah, and it was hard. Like the first time I ever did it was an experience.
Yeah,
and it was hard. It still is hard.
With you, sort of thing.
Yeah. Even this one, I still needed a bucket with me.
Of course.
Funnily enough, I don't know if he listens to this podcast, speaking of Hyrox, I was chatting to Matt today. Yeah. And he said, oh, I'm actually training at 9 before I saw Joel, so I'll sign him up.
Matt, before he saw me.
Before he sees you next week.
Lofty.
Yeah.
Signing me up for Hyrox.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm looking for a mixed doubles partner, Matt. Will you do it with me? He's like, oh, I've got a mate, Joel Stone, who would love to do that.
God. Lofty, for the uninitiated, is one of our clients. Bit of a living legend. He met my wife at the weekend.
Oh, yeah, of course. I forgot he'd be there.
It was a funny encounter. Not suitable for the podcast.
Oh, really?
Not that makes it sound like we're swingers. Yeah. No, it wasn't that kind of encounter.
My coach and swingins.
I think the conversation within half an hour of me, Lofty, Jordan, and a few others chatting got onto circumcision, and Hannah was like, "What the fuck have I walked into?"
I have no experience in this.
Yeah, it was a lot. So, what I want to tackle really is like the myth of the perfect launch, or the myth of the perfect growth period, the myth of the perfect scale up, where ultimately, whenever you want to do something, you expect it to go sideways. Like, you know, I can moan with the best of them. You know, sometimes life is hard. I get it, but it's not quite as hard if you expect it to be hard. Like nobody goes to Everest. Oh, yeah, I'm not saying I've ever done anything of that scale, but nobody's ever goes to Everest and goes, "Oh, well, I've done plenty of prep. This should be easy."
Yeah.
And yet there's people who we bump into regularly who are like, "I want to scale to 7 figures." Okay. But I don't want to make any calls. Oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's been done. Yes, you can do it. But why are you putting obstacles in the way of something that's already hard?
Yeah. You actually just had this with the client. Actually, 2 examples I can think of.
Yeah.
One is scaling, and so they've got a setter in their DMs, and the setter was shit. And so now they're like, "Oh, we've got to go back in the DMs," but they're willing to do it because they know that they make sales when they're doing it. So it's just about finding the right person. The other person, almost exactly the same situation, but it was at the start. They had a VA from the start in their DMs, and they were like, "It's not working. And I was like, "Why don't you just hop in for 2 weeks? Like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of work just to test the concept." They made like 10 sales in the week, and it was like, okay, so you don't have to do it, but that person isn't right.
Yeah, that person's not right, or they need more training, or maybe AI would be more effective. But that's the thing. That's another thing with business owners, that they get told to delegate all the time, which absolutely you should delegate. But I don't think there's many successful business owners that don't have a good idea of how to do every task in their business. And that sounds contrary to what most business coaches tell you how to do it. But you've got to have some idea. And so if there's a bottleneck in your business or something that's not working, can you jump in and figure out what's wrong? Because as the owner of the business, that's what you are. You're the person that figures out how to fix the problem. And it might be like, "Oh, fucking hell, why do I always have to do it?" It's like, well, because that's your role. Your role is to plug the holes in the boat so that everyone else can keep the boat going.
Yeah.
And I think people mistakenly get into this, "Oh, I'm just going to delegate it all and I need someone else who can solve all those problems." Okay, fine. You might want to bring in a CEO or a managing director or an operations manager, but they're going to have to be bloody good. And then you've got a question, why are they so good at this and yet happy to be employed? And so there is a balance to be had. And there are the rare occasion where someone wants the security of employment and holiday pay, but they're really good at solving problems. And if you've got one of them, fucking well done. Cling on to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of Hyrox, how often have you thought, fucking hell, I don't want to do this?
So many times. That's the reason I loved it as a concept, is that, and I actually don't have anything booked in right now, which is, I haven't.
What can we do to have that solved by the end of the week?
Well, and the problem is I keep going away.
Is there one in Orlando?
Well, that could happen. That'd be
fun.
A good thing.
That'd be a good partner for you there, surely.
Yeah. Well, I keep going away without him, and so, but it's really hard to get tickets in the UK, and I'm not sitting on Ticketmaster or whatever in a queue of 5,000 people to get a ticket for Hyrox. I wouldn't even do that for Harry Styles, let alone.
You would.
Well, I would.
You're a liar.
And Pitbull, which I didn't get tickets for.
I got Will Smith tickets.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Shaggy is supporting Pitbull.
Wow, Jazzy Jeff supporting Will Smith.
Who is Jazzy Jeff?
Like, you never heard Boom Shake Shake the Room?
Yeah.
That's Jazzy Jeff.
Oh, I didn't know that he was the...
Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. You ever watched Fresh Prince Bel-Air? You're too young.
I have watched it, but not...
Jazzy Jeff's in that as well.
That much. Oh, that's cool. When is that?
Jazzy Jeff used to be a cool name, but when you say Jazzy now, it doesn't sound that cool, does it?
No, it hasn't aged well.
No.
When is that? When is... And where?
I don't know. I'm going with Ben Knight and some of the crew. Ryan, Dale.
Oh, yeah.
It's in Wolverhampton.
Is it? What
I
the
was like,
heck?
fucking hell, that slap has really hurt your career if you have to play Wolverhampton Civic Halls on your first ever world tour.
Did it sell out?
I don't know. I got the ticket quite easily, but I didn't really want to do the Wolverhampton one because I was like, oh, Wolverhampton, but it's on a Saturday.
Yeah.
It'd be really fun to make a weekend of it, and like we've got like a Hawaiian shirts rule and stuff, and
Where are you staying? Have you thought about
probably
for it?
my house. It's only 45 minutes.
Yeah, true.
It's a taxi between four of us won't be too bad.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Anyway, we digress. Yeah, that whole like, I agree with you. Positive pressure, like setting yourself things that feel hard.
A launch is great for that because it's like, and publicly like saying I am doing this and telling enough people, and then it's like you'll never ever be ready 100% for a launch, but if people are expecting something to happen, like you'll get it done.
Yeah, and also like if you're afraid of things being hard, why the fuck are you in business? Because it's really hard.
Yeah.
Like every day's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like having staff is.
Yeah.
God.
We've got a few staff now. I have to have a difficult conversation with one of you every day.
Yeah, I'd find that really difficult.
But it's not personal. It's just I want the best for you, because if I get the best out of you and you achieve what you want, I probably get what I want.
Yeah.
And that's a great outcome. Like I do like seeing it that way. That it's like, well, if I help you get what you want, you're likely to help me get what I want, and everybody wins. That's where like I think a lot of people are like, the fact that you've got a job should be motivation enough.
Which is, I don't think it is.
Not anymore.
Not for people coming up.
No.
Not for the generation below me. It's like, I don't want to do that. I'm not happy.
That's like you see all these like traditional young people's jobs like hospitality and like outdoor education and stuff. They're really struggling to recruit now because people won't go and do the minimum wage hard graft job. So, well, I don't want to do that. And it's kind of sad because I think I learned a lot in those roles.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's what, as a business owner, you're dealing with. So, like, for example, if you're looking to recruit as you grow, expect it to be really fucking hard, because interviews is hard, rejection is hard, people not being what they said they were is hard, people being good is hard, because then you have to bloody look after them and promote them and pay them, and like it's hard.
But like, I'm guessing, well, you don't really like have a choice of if you want to wear that hat or not, right? You've got the business needs staff, and
yeah,
so you have to,
especially ours, yeah,
you have to recruit, yeah, or like if someone needs second, you gotta.
Yeah, well, I've got more comfortable with that. It's quite
really.
I
think I'd lose sleep, which
I used to lose sleep. Actually, to be fair, we've had to wield the axe. Awful phrase, but it's true. We've had to wield the axe twice where the person really deserved it. Both times I felt nothing.
Really?
I was just like,
not the night before.
This
like,
has protected everybody else's jobs. This is the right thing for all involved, including the person it's happening to. But I think I went into it expecting it to be tough, and therefore it wasn't as tough as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But we had a time, you were here, where we lost a lot of clients all in one day, and the business still hadn't quite recovered from COVID, and we had to let 2 people go that day. And I hate admitting that. It's not a nice thing, but that was disgusting. That was like, no amount of preparation was going to prepare me for that.
Yeah.
And I also disagreed with that decision. Like,
yeah,
I was not the whole decision maker in that. Yeah.
You have to take the emotion out of it, don't you?
People say that. I think if you take the emotion out of business, it becomes meaningless. And I quite like things to be meaningful.
Yeah.
So if I was getting rid of someone and it wasn't the right decision, and it was bad for me, bad for them, the emotion would be really heightened, and I would deserve that. So you do have to come to like a balanced view on it, and also like think about businesses. Not everyone can be me. Not everyone can be you. Like, you need different characters and different skill sets and different vulnerabilities as well. Like, what makes someone relate to me might be the fact that I've had, I don't know, mental health struggles. What makes someone relate to someone else might be that they're a bit scruffy, like whatever it might be. So don't always think like just because you can see the flaws in someone that makes them flawed.
Yeah.
And actually sometimes that might be their strength. And like, you know, we've got staff members that aren't wildly focused when it comes to lots of things, but then certain things they're hyper focused on and really good at. So lean into that. And then we've got like staff members that aren't, they're probably not going to run through a brick wall for you because that's not their persona. But if you wanted everything to be in order and easy to find, nailed it.
Yeah.
And like, I think that like awareness of recruiting people, having staff is tough. And like you say, like you have to take the emotion out of it. I just don't want to. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but like I do care about the team, and I do care about the business, and I do care about our clients, and I do care about the result. And the thing I care about the least is actually how much it pays me, as long as I can live. Like all the money is the scorecard to know that I'm doing a good job.
Yeah. For clients.
And stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So what is kind of that, like with the Hyrox, I think Hyrox is a really good way of looking at this. How do you plan for it to be difficult?
Overtrain.
Is that true?
Yeah. Not as in not like I'm not training like every hour of the day, but like you run 8K in the race, so like my baseline is 12K.
Yeah.
To be a comfortable run. And then so when it gets hard, I'm like, but I know I can do this because
So
I did this
do
on Monday.
Like HIIT training to 12K with intervals.
No, so I'll do one long run a week, a minimum 12K. It was 10K before, but that
You run 12K as a one-off run a week.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's actually fun. What I would say is I hated running until I was good at running, and now it's enjoyable. But for the first like 6 months, if you start running, it's fucking horrible. Every run, you're like, I don't want to do this. This is hard. My feet hurt. My legs hurt. Even the first 3K of every single run I do, I'm like, this is horrible. And then it starts to feel good. And it's that
Never got
feeling
to that point.
after.
3K is a fucking long way. I did 5K in the gym once to prove to myself I could do it, and I was like, yeah, not doing that again. Oh shit.
But not the feeling after, you're like, oh, this feels amazing now. No?
Not as good as having a bowl of ice cream.
But the bowl of ice cream after the run.
Yeah, no, I am joking. Like I know I played football at an okay-ish level for about 3 games, and they tracked your distances, and I came off the pitch and you had like covered some serious distance at a serious level of intensity. I was like, yeah, I feel good for that. I didn't immediately afterwards, but about 10 years later, I felt quite good. But yeah, no, that overtrain's really interesting. Like, if you can put yourself into a place of adversity that's worse than what you're going to experience in the moment.
For me, it's that feeling of like, I know I can do this. So even when my brain's telling me no, like I know I've done it before.
Yeah. Like Alton Towers at the weekend, there was people there that were scared of roller coasters that will speak on a stage in front of 500 people. And I was like, that blows my mind. Like, I mean, I don't mind speaking on stage now, but it is, I appreciate why it's scary. And then you're like, actually, if you went on the Nemesis, maybe you'd be able to speak in front of 1,000 people. Like, you can, there's like, if you stretch your comfort zone, like your stress tolerance in one way, sometimes you can apply it to other areas of your life.
Is that the same feeling speaking on stage as like the feeling you get on a roller coaster?
No,
You're like,
absolutely not. I see. I struggle because I'm more introverted in small group conversation. Like, I'm fine one-to-one, and I'm fine speaking on stage. But put me in a group of 6 in the pub, and I'm like, oh, this is hard.
Yeah.
My brain sort of doesn't know where to focus, and the ambient noise plays my head and stuff. And so that doesn't feel like a roller coaster. That just feels like effort.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, it's because I obviously feel like this because I haven't done it, but I just know I'd be shitting myself. Absolutely shitting myself, yeah.
I have to get you on one. think it'd be good for you.
Yeah, and like if I was talking about like meta ad, I'm sure I'd be fine. So I'd be like, I know this. I know this.
Get you to do like systems of scale
Inside
in Orlando,
out.
one of the workshops.
Yeah, maybe.
Or the Cobreak client day, that might be better suited. At least you'll know the people.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I know I'd be like,
That's why we're going to do it, Mark.
there'd be no chill. I would not be chilled.
I just shout at you for a year beforehand. So like you've been, like you run 12k. Yeah. Just like, Mark, that's shit. No, I won't do that. I'm not that mean. But I think like, yeah, I was chatting to Scott today, having a little bit of a one-to-one, and I said to him, I'm always going to be tough on you guys. And he was like, but sometimes I just need a pat on the back. I was like, but you get pats on the back. And he was like, yeah, I suppose we do. It's like, so why are you tough on us? I'm like, because I want you to be better every day. And I want you to want to be better every day. And I want you to appreciate that. I was like, it doesn't mean I'm going to be critical or mean. It just means that I'm going to push you to be better than you believe you can be because I know your potential. And I mean, I know we've literally lost staff because of that attitude, but that's fine. That's just the nature of the business. And so, like, we had a situation yesterday where one of the team failed an exam.
Oh yeah, I haven't spoke to you about that.
Yeah, and I think he was expecting me to like turn tables over and lose my shit, but my reaction was the exact opposite. I said, like, take yourself for a 5-minute walk, then write down what the challenge was and write down the 10 positives that have come from that situation, and then give yourself a pat on the back for even trying and get the next one booked in. And he looked at me, he was like, who the fuck's this guy? Like, what the hell? Like, that is not the reaction I expected. So I would be annoyed if you'd not bothered to revise for the exam or not even done the exam. I'm never going to be annoyed at someone for trying to do something outside of their comfort zone. That's ridiculous. And I think he appreciated that reaction. But also, I said to him, like, the best drivers pass their test the second time. And he was like...
Did you?
No, I passed first time, but I wouldn't say I'm on. But then
second.
I crashed into a family of 4 a couple of years ago. So,
and their dog.
And the dog was fine, Martha, and the family were fine. It was me that wasn't fine. But yeah, I think like that adversity will pay him so well in the future. And I think sometimes you build up, oh shit, what's the boss going to think? Oh shit, what's the client going to think? Oh shit, what my parents going to think, to such a boiling point, and then it's never as bad as you think it was going to be.
I actually had this with when I was away with Joseph's family, and there was this hot chocolate, and I was like, oh yeah, great. I thought there was 2 packs of hot chocolate, so I thought there'd be 2 packs of marshmallows. There wasn't, and I put all the marshmallows in the one, and the one kid ate them all, and I was like, oh, Harley, I'll get yours. Do you want your marshmallows in as well? No marshmallows. I was like, fuck, what do I do? I've ruined the holiday. I just put it on the table and didn't tell him, and he was fine. But in my head, I was literally going around to everyone like, oh my god, what is
all
this?
hell's about to break loose. How old are these kids?
To be fair, luckily the
37.
the one who had the marshmallows is 5, and the other one is 10. So, but even then, at 10, if my brother had marshmallows and I didn't, I'm gonna flip.
At 15, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that's.
And I kept building it up in my head, and it was absolutely fine.
Yeah,
I was scared of a 10-year-old for about an hour.
That hot chocolate must have gone cold by then.
I don't even know if he drank it because I just didn't tell him it was there, and I was just gonna be like, oh, it's...
Oh, why? Bloody hell. But yeah, I think like exactly that often you'll build things up to be a lot worse than they are, where you can sort of go into these things with a level of like mental planning where it's like, I'm not necessarily an advocate for a plan B because that sounds like you think you're going to fail, but I am an advocate for expecting it to go wrong and being flexible enough to pivot and to push forward anyway. So if I know what perfect looks like, and yeah, I know I'd be delighted with 80%, we aim for perfect and we hit 80% and the result's still good. Where I think most people have this idea of what perfect looks like in their head, don't ever attain it, and then give up because they know they're not going to attain perfect.
Oh, it's like what Mo Gaudat, is that what you say his name?
Yeah.
About how almost every emotion has a calculation behind it. Mm-hmm. So like expectations minus reality
Yeah,
equals disappointment or whatever.
Equals result, essentially.
It's so true, and like a lot of it is to do with your expectations not being met in anything.
Like people who, you know, those people that over research their holidays, and they're like, I've been on TripAdvisor, I've been on Reddit, I've looked at the photos, I've watched a video tour, I've been on YouTube, and then I booked it and I got 500 quid off. And then they get there and there's like a building site next door.
Like the in-betweeners when they get off the bus.
Yeah. So like, they get there, there's a building site next door, and the whole picture of what they've built up, expectation, doesn't match reality. And so there's this massive disappointment gap.
That's why I hate having a plan, because when it doesn't go to plan, I get upset. If I don't have a plan, I'm happy.
Where I think the approach needs to be, what result do I want? Which isn't the same as what expectation do I have. So what result do I want? I want to go in the sun. I want to be able to have a swim. I want some nice food. And I'd like to spend some time in a different culture. Very different to, I expect 5-star service, incredible food, no disruption.
I want the donut with the gold flakes on it.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to be served first every day. The result versus expectation, you can really change your level of disappointment with a dose of reality. And I think a lot of people in business do this whole thing of like, I'm going to host the biggest event, the biggest business event the UK's ever seen. And it's like, well, you're probably not, are you? Like, you know, like sometimes when I'm out on the dog walk in the morning, some of the like, you know, the Rocky soundtrack comes on my headphones, and some of the ideas I have are well above my station. I'm like, fucking hell. Next year, I'm going to hire a theatre. There's going to be fireworks. There's going to be a heavy metal band on the side, and I'm going to come out on stage. And then in my head, like, reality goes, who the fuck wants to come to that, Joel? Like, what is... And so you have to sometimes, like, think about, oh, maybe this launch isn't going to be the one that takes me from £5 a week to £1 million. Maybe this is the stepping stone on the way to that one, and that's okay.
Yeah, and like, I didn't do 100k from this launch, but I have been extremely profitable and got 1,000 new customers into my world.
I was in a room with someone on Thursday, and he said like, "Oh, I'm gonna ask you a question, but I'm not as big a business as some of you guys. I only do 160 grand a year." And I said, "Well, what's your profit margin on that?" And it was 70%. I was like, mate, you took home more money than I did last year. Just because I've got a bigger business doesn't mean I'm any more successful. It's like you're just measuring yourself by the wrong metric. I was like, and in that mastermind we have like this thing called the 5F. So it's focus, fitness, family, fun, and finances. And he beats me on 4 out of the 5. But the 5th one that he was measuring himself on was what mattered to him. And I was like, do you not see that you're just putting your attention in the wrong area, and actually all you've got to do is tweak this thing and you'll be absolutely fucking flying. And then he was like, oh, but that's going to be really hard, isn't it? And I was like, yep. Yep. Like, because I was beating him on finance, and I was like, in order to hit this, what I'm doing on finance, my focus, my fitness, my family, and my fun has all had to suffer.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, I had a very similar conversation with a girl who I met at Hyrox, like circling back to that. And she was like super, super successful, works for like Deloitte as a consultant. And I was like, wow. And we were having this really deep chat, and I was like, I know I could be better at Hyrox. Like, I know I could do way better, but I'm just like focusing on my career, and I want to spend enough time with my boyfriend, and so I can't train twice a day, otherwise I'll never see him. And she explained it to me as like, you have this, imagine you're a torch, right, and you've only got so much light, and so sometimes you might feel like you're the worst daughter in the world, but you've got to focus on your career for a year, like to really get where you want to be, or like you're not where you want to be fitness wise, but your family aren't suffering, like your fitness is like, and so instead of like beating yourself up about I'm only 50% everywhere, or I'm 80% here and everyone else is suffering, you just have to accept like, this is where my light is pointing right now, so that I can point it somewhere else in the future, whether that's a year, whether it's just a really week where you got to work late every night. And then I've just stopped beating myself up ever since. Like, I was away for Mother's Day, and I'm like, right, well, I'm just going to have dinner with my mum tonight and give her like some real quality, like be really present for her and not just like pop around a few times a week, but be distracted everywhere else. And that's probably similar to the 5Fs, right? They're never all going to be firing on every single cylinder.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think a different business coach that I was watching on a seminar last week, he was saying, like, I have to be a husband, a father. In his case, I'm not a dad, apart from a dog dad. A husband, a father, a business owner, and a friend. He's like, but I can't be excellent at all of those at the same time. So it's okay to just be okay at some of them. And I was like,
yeah, and I guess like it's like in what order, like what's most important at that time.
Yeah, and like, what can you systemize to make sure that you're not dropping the ball on certain things? Like, we've got this at home at the moment where it's really tough to stay on top of the house because of the way our focus is. Like, my wife's, until very recently, essentially been disabled, and I'm always at work. And so I was like, maybe we should get some help around the house. And it's a difficult conversation because we don't come from a background where you have paid help. But that's how I systemize being a better husband. And there'll be people listening going, well, you're not fucking doing it. It's like, well, no, I'm not. But then I'm more present with my wife. We can go on more dates. I'll probably have less money, but
and be less stressed.
Money well spent. Yeah, I don't want to fucking
go
home and do 2 loads of washing, try and get it out to dry and iron it before bed when I could have watched an episode of Reach with my wife, literally. So, right, Marv. I guess, like, to recap, ultimately the point of this podcast is that the tough stuff, the hard things, the obstacles, the stress, that's the price of progress. And you're not getting that progress without it.